Is this on? We good? Okay. Hello everyone, this is Nex-oz here, and welcome to another Witch on the Holy Night. Now hopefully, and I mean hopefully, I could get this could help me stream and record of everything I need for it to save all the playtime. So, in any case, hi, welcome. We're continuing on Mahoyo Witch on the Holy Night. And last time, we left off with the day that Sojuo just ran off from, well, some lady. I'm not gonna spoil it, so... I know I spoiled myself, but I already know Toko Aozaki Toko, since I was a avid watcher of the Garden of Sinners. So yeah, yeah, thanks for that. But anyway, let's begin. Anyway, last chapter was the nights, or the last night incident. And everything that happened from last night, a single day, a single night. Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. Oh, like a horror story introduction. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Ooh, is this like an omen chanting? Was it a lesson, or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. At the time, I could not have imagined what my very being, would become. Wait, whose POV is this? Sojuo? One night, it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened that it made me want to burst into tears, so it fled to my grandfather's workshop. Whose POV is this? Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled and kindly placed his hand upon my head. Oh, this must have been Aoko. Yes, the Red Death follows your every step. Rather than consoling me, he sent me home with only those haunting words. Huh, what a considerate grandparent you got there. That night, I was certain I sensed a shadow lurking behind me. This must be Sojuo. Something or someone watching me from afar. Ooh, a stalker. Then little by little, year by year, drew closer. What? He was been stalked by years? What the fuck? You know, for a stalker, that person has commitment. Eventually, the presence that once felt like a spot on the horizon grew so close that I could feel its breath down the base of my neck. Ooh, stranger danger. Of course, it was all in my mind. When I turned around, nobody was there. Ooh, edge of my seat. Horror, the thrilling. The thriller. But that night marked to be the beginning. In hindsight, I later understood that the indescribable anxiety I felt was the dread of certain death. Lighthouse, flickering light bulb. Ooh, it's in English. Oh, it's the nursery rhyme of The Dish and the Spoon Ran Away, right? I don't know what the actual title was, but the little dog laughed and the Hayden in the dish and the spoon ran away. How much time has passed since that night? It lingered deep in the recesses of my mind where childhood memories are kept. A faded, storybook-esque memory. On dark nights, I still hear the faint echo of my grandfather's words. But no matter how strong the wind may howl, or how entrancing the song of the girl next to me, I could never bury his ominous words completely. And you don't even mind what the girl's singing is actually weird? Oh, it's Alice! The girl beside me said. Alice's inflectionless voice spoke volumes of her role as a bystander. That night, there was only me and her. Is this Alco POV? It was the night I would mark as the birth of who I am today. For I should have been quite the memorable night. It sure wasn't a promising start. Dense clouds blocked the starlight above like a black umbrella. Ooh, the analogy. Is that how some novels and storybooks go by? Just like, they just create descriptions and make similes out of it? I mean, I know I've learned literature like in first grade for those basics. Like, is it necessary to keep the story interesting? Strong wind tore through the sky, carrying the heavy clouds with it. The hands on the clock in the middle of the park pointed skyward, as if reaching for the moon. Oh, it's Aoko! She's in her white jacket. Oh. Even in her white jacket, this area still sticks out, huh? Interesting. Look, it was a very important detail, alright? Don't judge me. Unfortunately for them, tonight there was no moon to point at. Is it because it was covered in clouds? The winter air grew fiercer as the night wore on. Inhaling felt as though it would freeze me on the inside. The air chilled me to the bone, threatening to pass up my spine directly to my brain, to prevent my mind from being paralyzed, and to prevent my fingertips from becoming stone. I sparked a fire using my internal rhythm and emotion. Is this really Aoko's POV? I'm confused. Whose POV is this? Wait, was her nursery rhyme part of the chant? The will-o-wisp. I respond to Alice with a nod. Oh, so now... Oh, okay, so it is Aoko's POV. And then, for just a moment, I saw the ground. My legs quivered ever so faintly. I told myself they were shaking from the cold, but I wasn't so sure. In reality, they may not have been numbed by the cold, but by fear. I breathed a sigh of relief. My humanity must still be intact if my emotions are still present. Huh. So she has humane instinct, but the inhuman mentality. Before I could sink into a pool of my own sentimentality, the sensations from the bounded field flowed from Alice into me. A transparent wall covered the entire park. An unrecognizable carpet rooted deep under the earth. Oh, was it the day she put her Magecraft project? Was that from last night? Alice Kuonji's chants of Mother Goose fairy tales permeated the night. Oh, it was a Mother Goose. And it's a fairy tale? I thought it was a nursery rhyme. The sensations became one with my body. Oh, are these what you might call it? Magical circuits? I felt goosebumps on my quivering right arm. Someone had trespassed. Trespasser? The goosebumps crept up my right arm like ants. Ugh. Slowly but surely made inroads for my heart. Holding back the desire to drive them out, I waited for them to reach a certain definitive position. Ugh, must have been really uncomfortable like that. A moonless night. The park's quaint street lights were not enough to lift the darkness. The ants came to a stop. Far, far from my right arm, they had reached my very heart. Even without the aid sense of my sight, I could see the intruder lurking in the darkness. Really? At this time of day? This time of night? The starbird, in the bushes about 30 steps back, on all fours, it was beckoning with its right hand. Soko! The enemy's movement and my perception outfit were in lockstep. What, is she like trying to catch a animal or something? A beast? I spun around. Oh! An enemy's arm stretched out like a spear. Oh, this guy going Gomu Gomu no pistol. This lethal weapon weapon aimed at the back of my head, brushing my hair at breakneck speed. Well, Jesus! The fight at the very start? This is going fast. With the omniscient awareness granted by Alice's ward, I managed to avoid it by the skin of my teeth. Oh, it's a doll! A mannequin! My hair fanned through the air from the violence of the attack. The strike grazed my cheek and I felt a small, sharp pain. Ooh, even from a small graze? It felt like the kiss of death. Probably Aoko's first fight as a mage. Oh, her magical circuits. I switched the flow of my body's blood to a different cycle. The blood running through my veins at a few feet per second transmuted into an imaginary element. My body became a single circuit and my hair transformed into a completely different engine. Wait, an imaginary element? Like Sakura? Not that I know of, since I haven't watched Heaven's Feel yet, so I'm not sure how this imaginary element works. Within me stirred an unknowable emotion of immeasurable heat. Something mystic, yet untapped by humankind that made me who I am. It was the fire of life behind all miracles and fables. What we mages called magical energy. I turned around, set the enemy in my sights, and held up on one hand. Wonder what her magecraft was like at that. My arm was the agent of my will. My lack of experience meant my magecraft would only be possible with the use of vocalizations and gestures. Oh, well, she is like a greenhorn. Magical formulae were engraved all over the park. All I had to do was ignite them. I needed to direct the flow of magical energy within my body into each formula. If it's so simple, it seems to be very difficult for a third-rate magician, or perhaps one who's still green. Typically, a mage acts as a conduit. Whether wired or wireless, the mage simply pours magical energy into the formula. Releasing this energy in the form of a projectile, stream, or any number of methods would usually suffice, but in my case, it was the feeling of my limbs whipping out. Oh, did she cast a fireball? I fought speed with speed. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The enemy's arm, extended 10 feet forward, became engulfed in flames. It was nighttime at the park. The scene, reminiscent of a campfire, but one in which the center of the flames contained a humanoid figure wriggling like a shadow puppet. The flame subsided just as naturally as it had ignited. So you're telling me that this Sojuro guy was just like walking around in the middle of nowhere just to witness this scene? Wasn't it? Well, I guess this was set in the parks and not in the mansion, so no crackling, no burning smell. Oh, she already killed it? After telling this to Alice, I headed toward the motionless figure. I killed it. Well, yeah, it. The doll. I killed it. I killed it. 3 times you said that. Regardless of who my opponent was, I just took someone's life. If it was an it, if you took someone's life, why couldn't you call it he or she, or an it? You're making it seem like that this doll is an animal, or a creature. Sentient. My throat parched. I swallowed the truth that without this sense of reality, I would have been helpless. Is this her first time killing something? So hard and bitter, impossible to swallow. But I tried to anyway. I was unnervingly calm. My heart pounded and my breath felt heavy, but my mind was nonetheless calm. By the time I realized it, the charred remains were already in front of me. Bracing for a counterattack, I carefully examined the corpse. Oh, okay. So she's anticipating that it might be alive, and she might need to double tap it. Everything seemed fine. This body lying slumped to the ground was nothing but ash. Huh? Just ash? Something wasn't right. To begin with, his remains didn't smell organic. Well, yeah, it's plastic, right? It's a it's a doll. She didn't see it? Not willing to believe my hunch, I took a closer look at the corpse's face. All that greeted me was the featureless white face of a mannequin. Oh yeah, you see? It was a mannequin. Those limbs were like a doll. Screaming, I kicked the mannequin. What, you actually... What, you were actually hoping for to kill someone? To kill a man? To kill a person? The corpse crumbled to ash and disappeared with wind. No, this was no corpse. It was just a puppet. And for all our efforts to lure the master out, he had once again been tricked by a familiar. Wonder who this puppet master was. Come to think of it, wasn't Toko also a puppet master magician? Coincidence? I think not. You're probably been setting this up. This was all her sister's doing. My debut, my first test out in the open, would be postponed for another day.
いつになったら一人前にって。あれ?
At that moment, I suddenly noticed something familiar in the corner of my eye. Something seemed strange about the slide on the other end of the park. It appeared as though its shadow were larger than it should be. Was I still drunk on the high of battle? It took me a second to realize what it was. This feels like that she saw some serious shit there. Oh, shit. Okay, not it. Calling out was a mistake. Yeah, I mean, why would you just call out in a clandestine project of a test? Startled by my voice, the figure, while in a familiar high school uniform, took a step back, and then it broke into a sprint. Oh, that must have been Sojuro. Like someone running for their life. Yep, definitely Sojuro. Question is, why the hell did he end up seeing that? He was like the Shiro Emiya. Or should I say, he was doing exactly that. In a rush, I shouted to my partner, but she hadn't even noticed the third party's presence in the first place. Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself. Embarrassingly, the fight had taken out more of me than I'd have liked. Ah, she was exhausted to move. Yet she could still stand? Yes, the typical magecraft mages. No witness. Just like Shiro Emiya, there was no time for necessities. Or niceties? Necessities? Is that even a real word? I can't tell. For us, being seen here was a matter of life and death. Shaking off the numbness in my legs, I made for the park's exit. Hey, she can actually run. I had to admire his escape. The witness, party to the entire night's proceedings, had disappeared into the darkness of the residential district without a trace. Well, aren't you a green mage? I guess... Complaining to myself wouldn't bring back the figure in uniform. Bitter at my own incompetence, I gave up the chase. Though temporary, the park had become Alice's woods. For anyone within a few feet of the park, the other park goers' identifiable features and verses became murky like the stuff of fairy tales. Oh, so the barrier was concealed. Yet he entered it, unknowingly. Kind of reminds me of that Jujutsu Kaisen when Fushiguro Toji trespassed a domain expansion since he has a heavenly ascension body, something like that. The night's proceedings may have had a witness, but if our identities were still hidden, then this was still a chance. I returned to the park. That uniform was, without a doubt, from my high school. That was clue enough. If he was a schoolmate of mine, I had plenty of methods to flush him out. Amidst my grumbling, I set my priorities straight. Before some strange rumor spread, I needed to steal the witness's mouth shut. That was the highest priority, quickly and without mercy. Yep, definitely Sojiro. Looking up, I saw Alice's previously distant figure. Though she was in as much trouble as I was with her existence as a mage also exposed, she had but one thing to say. Oh, what's that? You suck?
これは困ったことになったわね。
Yeah, indeed. Someone coincidentally witnessed a magecraft. Her statue-like figure, staring into the darkness, seemed more expressionless than calm. I was pissed off. Her inscrutable voice resembled the moonless night so much it made me angry. Damn, even she hate the moonless night? Oh, that was it. Well, okay. Well, on to the next chapter. Blues in her name. Took about like 20 minutes. Guess it wasn't that short after all. Huh. Okay, next up. Oh fuck, I forgot to save. Shit. There really isn't any other way of saying this. I am a magician. Kind of like those witches in fairy tales who live alone in the woods and perform miracles with a wave of a finger. Yeah, if there were miracles like that, then everything would have been peaceful. While the popular depiction of it differs from reality, it's closer to the truth than you know. Though just where so clear, no, I don't fly through the sky on a broom. Yeah, it's so not so typical. I cannot transform into animals or speak with small birds. Modern mages are nothing so fanciful. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Though it may seem like we can do anything, but we're actually majorly constrained. Yes, only constrained by magecrafts. A sheer imitation of magic. And while I still have a lot to learn about, this is my real job. Sounds like a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally, this is a secret I don't just share with anyone. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. Yeah, it's like all mages thing, right? And Type Moon. Leave no witnesses. See no witnesses. Ugh. That is the first and most important of the association's 10 laws. Ah, the Mages Association. 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out of the bag in the least. My secret identity as an honor student is intact, and absolutely no good would come out of me revealing my true nature. If anything, it'll only lead to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Like a superhero. Well, yeah, I guess that is the case. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. I fantasize about revealing my secret's life work to a single special person when I finally make something of myself. Oh, she was actually expecting to have a romantic partner? A specialist person? Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar to just confess one day, by the way, I'm a magician! The idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling the big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. Wonder if this was her sister doing. My grandfather patted me on the head when I shared these thoughts with him. I don't know if that was a praise or what, but I remember that his touch was gentle. I first learned that I would be succeeding my grandfather on the day I graduated middle school. Well, from that kind of line, I suppose that didn't happen. When I returned home, there he was. Your elder sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you are the heir to the Awazaki. Oh, just like that. Just because her sister just left. He said it in such a matter-of-fact way. I knew that the Awazaki family passed down this old tradition of magecraft, but to be honest, I never imagined I would be the one to wield it. Oh, the Awazaki clan has a particular magecraft in them? Has like a trademark? Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. Ah, so magecraft are generally inheritance. It was my sister's role to take the mantle, and I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many rules and routines. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. Well, I guess that must have been the same for Toko, considering that she left and was working at a detective agency. Something like that. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live my life my way. Yeah, it's like, oh, good luck with that. And while I managed to do that for just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. Since then, I've been thrust headlong into a world I had only observed from afar. It was hell of a way to start high school. Huh, no wonder she was always pissed off. But I suppose it wasn't all that bad, all things considered. Such a fancy headlamp. A lot has happened since then. I was so dazed by this newfound life that a year of school motored right by. I was the second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic has happened. The 6 months, my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other, notwithstanding. Notwithstanding. Wow, um, I don't think I I guess magecraft these days I guess magicians these days are just normal when other fellow magicians are just killing each other. And she just said nothing drastic has happened. Okay, I guess that's normal. As it happens, I've got a natural talent at that magic stuff, so I've yet to have any hangups there either. I'm only human, so I've had my fair share of headaches for sure, but never once did I worry about my future. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. If only everything had gone to plan last night.
どう？
I mean, if the witness didn't expose everyone, then I guess you're square. But still, Alice Kuonji asked Kaliko Awazaki the second she entered the house. Oh, we're going back to third-person POV. Okay, okay. Her dark eyes succeeded where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. And, you know, ever they already released the Mahoyo collab from FGO, and I tried my best not to get spoiled by much. At least I'm trying to. Not going through the full detail. Unless I finish this story. Depending how long this takes, that is. Oh, this time she's wearing a scarf. Alko took off her unflattering coat, hung it on the hanger, and sat down on the sofa. Alice sat across from her, with the table separating them.
そっちは？よくないわね。偵察に行けるのは7個ぐらい。ここのところ使ってばかりで、作り置きをする余裕もなかったし。
Oh, does she have some kind of like recon magecraft? Like sending a flock of ravens? Alice's gaze drifted from Alko to the box on the table.
あの夜、町を監視していた奴はいないの？町の偵察は完璧なんでしょ？そいつら。
They've never let you down when it comes to this serious thing, have they? Oh. Did you always rely on them?
それは昼間の話よ。夜間飛行は危険が多いわ。
Oh. So during the day, not at night. Meaning they were of the least use when needed the most. Alko sighed. Guess they're useless that night, huh?
そういうあなたは？朝は随分と強気だったけど。ん？ああ、こっちは予定通りよ。
Really? Even after that flop of last night?
明日までには絞り込めると思う。今朝、飛び丸にうちの生徒の自宅と行動時間を調べさせたから。あの時間に公園をうろつくやつはめったにいないし、簡単に割り出せる。
Not many people wander at the park that time of the night, so it should be an easy enough to figure out who it is. Yeah. considering when Sojiro talked to Tobimaru about this, then yeah, definitely the witness.
そう簡単に行くの？
行くわよ。伊達に生徒会に勤めてないわ。その程度のデータは揃えてある。
So that's why he told Tobimaru to stay after school.
月一のバイト先はおろか、親しい友人宅との移動時間、その優先順位まで調べ上げてるんだから。人には見せたくなかったリストだけど、そんな余裕ないでしょ？だから、そういうのが向いてる副会長にやらせたの。
Oh. At least she praised Tobimaru for that. Incidentally, the creation of the secret file started the moment Aoko became student council president. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student body.
そう。徹底しているわね。相変わらず。
Wow, I never expect Aoko as the president to have that kind of source of intel. Huh. Alice was only mildly surprised. It had been almost 2 years since they first started living together. She knew as well as anyone that when Aoko put her mind into something, she saw it through to the end.
ま、私もあれがこんな風に役立つとは思ってもみなかったけど。ほんと、備えあれば憂いなしとはこのことね。
Huh. Well, I'm not surprised that Aoko would be the stubborn girl to the end. But what happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to the rule. This predicament should not have been possible.
それより、原因は分かったの？結界の結びに不手際があったなんてのは聞かないわよ。
Aoko glared at her. The ward was Alice's responsibility. If it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had to own up to her fair share. Ah yes, share the blame. Alice and Aoko may have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. While lineage had brought them together, they were more like enemies than allies. Ah, so like frenemies instead of they were leading towards enemies. Guess explains the 6 months of them trying to kill each other for some reason. Ultimately, they were just not a match. Wonder if a mediator comes in. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was even an opportunity, they would kill. The two of them will kill each other in the event of such a moment. I knew it. They were going to kill each other at this moment, huh? Alice locked eyes with Aoko. And Aoko's fierce gaze would make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice did not bash an eyelash. Did not
仮の
bash.
話だけど、あの結界に落ち度があったのなら、今まで何度もこういう状況になっていたでしょうね。
I suppose you're right, Aoko agreed, as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice. Wait, why is that? Why is that not it?
仮の話だけど、あの結界に落ち度があったのなら、今まで何度もこういう状況になっていたでしょうね。
How come I didn't hear Aoko? That's weird.
結界のあり方は完璧だったのね。
Nothing wrong with it.
絶対とまでは断言はできないけど。
Really? Even she wasn't sure? Well, you're in charge of the bounded field, right? Surely it would have been second nature to you. Alice answered as flatly as ever. A bounded field is like a sanctuary sealed away from the real world. Yes, it is like the barrier, right? At least I'm assuming that's how bounded field works. I think I'm pretty sure in my fate knowledge that bounded fields are like barriers to prevent outside intrusions, like keep normal people away from the site. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but I'm just talking myself here, so I don't know. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. There are various kinds of bounded fields. Ah, right. There are physical ones that close off an area behind a wall. Just one wall, and less tangible ones that use mirrors, mists, or trees to conceal that which occurs within. However, when closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. When closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. Yeah, I don't fucking understand that, but let's just pretend I do. In other words, the area may be closed off to the outside world, but it is impossible to hide the fact that it is closed off. So it's possible that you could go through that bounded field without ever noticing. Is that how it works? In time, someone will take interest in a sealed off area even if they cannot see what is going on inside. Some might say this is putting the cart before the horse. The ideal field would be the one that was both undetectable and impervious to interference from the outside. That was exactly the kind Alice had generated the park the night before.
その場所に用があっても、今はないように思わせれば、誰もそこには立ち入らない。
Even if someone has a reason to be in the place, they shouldn't enter if you've made them forget their reason for being there. So, how exactly did Sojiro enter there? It's not like he just waltzed in there, right? Just because it was in his general direction?
隠したい場所の周りに一時的な意識の改ざんを促す結界を張る。手間はかかるんだけど、1時間程度の人よけには信頼性は高い結界よね。
At least an hour or so.
アリスの鏡を使った一級品だし、途中で破れることもない。事実、入ってきたのはあの人形だけだとはっきり感じられた。これで完璧じゃなかったら何が完璧なのよ。
Huh. So despite being an enemy to her, she actually believed that her bounded field was perfect. Was flawless. Unless that witness had some magic properties in him.
私もわからない。森作りに落ち度はなかったわ。森は数日かけて栽培したものだし、今まで通り信頼できる結界よ。けど例外があったのなら、どこかで見落としがあったのね。
What, did her bounded field requires the trees to be shaped like that? Though Alice's words conceded the possibility, her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing.
参った。こうなると、一番いいのは、あいつが人形使いだってパターンね。それならかろうじて納得できる。問題は、侵入した時の違和感をどうやって消したかってことだけど。
The thought of being targeted by this individual was pretty terrifying. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Or maybe it was because that lady in the green's doing. Alice, in her current state, would be completely helpless against such a foe. Hey! It's chocolate balls! Oh, it's not a mage?
彼は部外者よ。ムクドリはともかく、ロビンが後をたどれなかったもの。魔力の気配は全くなし。誰かの魔術で操られている犠牲者というのもないわね。
No traces of magical energy. Kind of feels like the Sojiro guy has the Heavenly Ascension body. The Heavenly body. Alko was quickly running out of straws to grasp at. That meant she was out of questions to ask. All she could do was call it bad luck and leave it at that. Yeah, but would she leave it at that?
魔術師の秘密を見られて、おまけに目撃者を逃がした。か。普通の高校生の悩みじゃないな。
The sofa groaned as she leaned back. I wish I was that sofa. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly depressed.
青子、覚悟を決めておいて。
Her roommate's voice seemed indifferent, but Alko just keeps staring at the wooden ceiling.
それとも、あなたにできないのなら、私が言ってあげてもいいけど。
What, are you planning to hunt some school kid in Alko's school in the middle of the night? The cool-mannered girl's statement carried an equally icy implication. Alko took the words in slowly with as much sincerity as she could muster. It was like trying to swallow molten lead.
そうだ。覚悟なんて、もう決めたでしょ。
The thought sounded hollow even as it popped into her head. This was clearly different from last time. While the aim was indeed the same, the circumstances surrounding her target was clearly different. She may have been determined before, but that was as a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she would step up to... God, my reading! Jesus! Every time I just fumble! Like, why? Why can't I read right? She would step up to the fight. It was a fight between two mages, and her opponent was in the wrong. Even if this could only end in death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties would accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on this scale, just like every mage is out there. Just like Kiritsugu Emiya. Emiya Kiritsugu. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither an enemy nor mage. Even she was prepared to kill them. This person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. Was she truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person? Could she swallow the fact that this was a common occurrence for a mage? She snorted sardonically. Sardonically? Sardonically? Is that how you say it? I don't even know what that word means. Being a mage did not mean that Aoko was some kind of monk who could cut ties with the real world on a whim. If there was one thing Aoko hated, it was doing things without conviction, or an understanding of exactly why she was doing them. When she acted, she preferred to act decisively.
やるしかないだろうね。
As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her fill of the ceiling for one day. Aoko had returned to the alcove of always, and Alice was done probing her.
じゃあ、これ。
As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. It fit neatly in the palm of her hand. Hey, look! It's cocaine! Or is it some sort of... Is it an empty fucking bottle? What is that? Some sort of commemorative gift? The bottle looked completely out of place in her slender fingers. The glass was cloudy and appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front where there was once a label. Yeah, she literally, ripped the sticker out.
何よそれ。
I know, what is it? Aoko stared at the bottle suspiciously.
収納の小瓶。ちょうど一つ余ってたから、あげるわ。
Oh, a storage bottle? It can actually stores people or creatures in it? Hmm.
名前は忘れたけど、中国の小説に出てきたのと同じよ。
Thing out of a Chinese novel. I don't know anything about that. Is it like that Sun Wukong's bottle? Is that how it works? Aoko was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant.
それってレンゲ堂の兄弟の話？じゃああの赤いひょうたんと同じなわけ？
Oh, she knows the
言
reference?
いたくないけど、そこら辺の風邪薬のラベルを無理やり剥がして小瓶に見せかけてるそれが？
Well, what do you expect? An actual gourd? Alice looked at the bottle and acknowledged how ordinary it looked. What? Did she expect something fancy? She also understood that she would not be the one using it as she set it on the table.
赤いひょうたんじゃなくて陽子玉の常瓶の方。
Jade flask. Is there really any difference?
そういう問題じゃない。私は魔術師としての雰囲気を論じてるんだ。
I thought mage's trademark was using impracticalities, like concealing.
些細なことを気にするのね。せいろがんの瓶じゃないだけいいと思う。
A bottle of laxatives? She made a good point.
蓋を開けて相手の名前を尋ねればいいから。
Open the lid and ask for the person's name. Wait, it can do that? Just write a person's name and they instantly go into the bottle? Just like that?
ただし、相手に抵抗する意志が残っている場合、小瓶は割れるから気をつけて。
Like how resistant? Unless he has like magical energy or like mentally or like soul shattering?
ちょっと待った。抵抗する意志があるとダメって眠っている時にやれってこと？
それは試したことがなかったわ。
She never tried it. So this bottle is just like a first, like what's the term? Like first time, first result?
眠って
Something?
いるのに返事をする人っているの？
Is there anyone who responds to things in their sleep? I
たま
don't.
にいるけど。まあ確かに珍しいわね、そういう人。
In that case, one would have to weaken them until they were about to pass out.
ああ、そうそう。薬や魔術がかかっていると、その重さでも割れるから気をつけて。
Huh. Not just magecraft, but also drugs, huh?
使えない。それってほとんど役立たずってことじゃない。
What won't break the damn thing? I don't know. Breaking the bottle? Like throwing it to the ground?
それは青子次第ね。
I was turned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her.
はあ、アリスがこういう小道具好きなのは知ってたけどね。これも趣味なわけ？
Alco asked, hoping Alice would deny it.
多分。
Oh, she really likes it, huh?
それでどうするの？持っていくのか行かないのか。
Without answering, Alco dithered a bit before taking the bottle and putting it into her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. Okay, still night. 2 hours had passed and the clock struck 9. Their conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom, and had manifested into a kind of scene one would not expect in such a mansion.
まあ本当はね。
What is
鳥
this?
丸に任せる気はなかったんだけど。
Is that Oden? An earthenware pot sat on the table. Alco Sparrow complains to no one in particular as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Ooh, is it? What is it? Is it actually Oden? Tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked out of place in this mansion. When it came to the kind of Japanese hot pot where all one had to do was buy and boil ingredients, it was usually Alco's responsibility. Oh, you got some of these like daikon radish, a seaweed, an Odin ball, or I don't know what these things. I assume all the others are Odin. Oh, I think this one is a boiled egg. Alice sat across from Aoko as she silently poked at the pot with a fork.
山城のやつが来るなり、しずきくんはまだ部活に入っていないから面倒見てあげてくれないかななんて言ってくるもんだからさ。全校生徒の行動範囲なんて見直す気力なくなっちゃったのよ。
The Shizuki, is that Sojiro? I forgot. I mean, I think I know his name was Sojiro, but I forgot his last name. Or if his last name was Sojiro. The egg she had plucked was still as silky as a baby's bottom, so she returned it to the pot. She settled for the shirataki noodles instead.
そりゃあのバカがバイトで忙しいのは知ってるわよ。 だからできるだけ春先までのんびりしてて、あんなのでも親身になってくれそうな部の部長に当たってみたのに、ありがとうの一つもないってのはちょっと尺に触るわよね。ねえ、聞いてるアリス。
Well, why are you complaining about that guy? At least he wasn't mad. As if her mouth was full, she simply nodded in response. Oh, yeah, Oh, kitu. Her expression stated she had no interest nor opinion on the matter, but she at least appeared to be listening. Satisfied, Oko nimbrowed on some hanpan fish cake.
それに私、いい人なんて言われるやつは信用できないのよ。あろうことか、飛び丸までそんなこと口走る始末だし。あれはいい人なんじゃなくて、ただぼんやりしてるだけなんだっての。大体、あそこまで言われて怒りもしないなんてどうかしてるわ。
Oh, really? If you hate him so much, then why are you talking so much about him? Her thoughts went to what happened to in council room earlier that day. She remembered how responsive Sojuro had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of her hanpan without chewing it.
何が分かってるんだなよ。
His words were like those that ended her childhood.
青子ちゃんは分かっているんだね。
Oh, is that her sister's voice?
それでも自分であり続けられるということは、とても強いことなんだよ。
Really nice that they animated this motion of a chopstick. This PNG thing. Perhaps it was meant as a compliment, but she took it as a patronizing way to pity her, because the person who said it had acted like she was looking at a wounded animal.
あんな変態の言ってたことなんて今更どうでもいいけどさ。
Why call Sojuro a hentai? That episode might have made her the most confused she had ever been in her life. Yet what shocked young Aoko the most was the look of pity on the face of the person she admired the most.
喧嘩。
The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks. Aoko?
ご
I
めん、
mean,
聞いてなかった。
Alice?
喧嘩ってあの喧嘩？
Alice nodded.
あなたの感想だけじゃ状況はよくつかめないけど。
Oh, she changed her clothes. Rather than her uniform, her casual wear is... I think it's some sort of like a black sweater with adorned stone necklace? Interesting.
つまり、青子はその人に喧嘩を売りたかったのね。
I know. Like, why pick on him? Alice been to the very last Hanpen. Her remark was unexpected but completely on point.
なんでそうなるのよ。
Hey, at least feel guilty about it. Well, at least she was guilty.
私はあんなのと1秒だって関わりたくないだけだってば。だいたいそれどころじゃないし、興味とか全くないし、会話もこれ以上ないってぐらい簡潔に切り上げたし。
Oh, it goes to this route, huh? The tsundere route, huh? Well, guess that fateful encounter when they first saw each other wasn't like a coincidence after all, huh? Well, I mean, still, I respect Aoko as a character. Yeah, eventually, next thing you know, they might start dating. But wasn't she still single after that? When she became blue?
なら、どうして今そんな話をするの？
Yeah, why all the talk about him?
それは、あんたに今日の調査過程を知らせてあげたのよ。それ以外何があるっていうの？
Wow, typical Sun line. My god, they're already finished with that? Jesus. What other reason could Alice be suggesting Aoko had for bringing it up? It would be several hours later, in bed, that Aoko realized that she had dug her own grave.
いいけど、私は別に。ただ、青子は本当にその人が嫌いなの？
Alice ate her hot bun in silence as she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was indifferent as always, but she was secretly enjoying how flustered Alko was. Alko remained oblivious to this. I mean, yeah, considering there's like one emotion in Alice's face is like just straight up stoic face. Normally, she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment.
本当にって、そりゃそうよ。気に食わないって何度も言ってるじゃない。
そう。具体的には？
は？具体的にはって、そんなのに理由なんて。
Oh my god, this typical Sun talk. The typical Sunday. She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. She could come up with no reason why. Her instincts had told her that she was incompatible with that hick. But why such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Oko hated emotions without reason and decisions made with no rationale.
嫌いなものは嫌いなんだから、ちゃんとどっかに理由があるんだと思うけど。
But was it pheromones? She became more flustered the more she talked. Unfortunately for her, she could not come up with a coherent reason to hate Sojuro Shizuki. Ah, so his name was Shizuki. It was not his fault that he had zero common sense. It was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable he was trying so hard to adapt to civilized society. As clueless as he might seem, he was not a complete waste of space. So why hate him? If he seemed a bit slow, it was only because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. Sorry about the chair creak. As much as she was loath to admit it, she really was unassuming do-gooder everyone had him pegged as. Yeah, just like Hokuto, Shiro Emiya, and probably Shiki Tono. Probably, I haven't read Tsukihime yet, at least not yet. But there's a remake coming up on Switch, so I might play it. Not sure if I could stream Switch on the gameplay, but eh.
ちょっと本気かっての。人間的に悪いところ、本当にみじんもないのか？あれ。
Is this what some of the heroines think? When they think about Shiro Emiya, Shiki Tono? Or that Hokuto guy? Hang on. Hang on. Dear God, it is so sweaty here. There was plenty, so she left it at that for now. Chopsticks she had been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burning through her head. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Sojuro, but her mind only went in more circles. Alice fixed Aoko with a deadpan stare. Akireta. Small sigh.
らしくないわね、青子。
Those words were the final blow. Aoko felt the floor fall out from under her. She was unable to leave her chair until long after Alice had finished eating and left. And all the oden got soggy. However, even after getting knocked down, Aoko Aozaki was not one to be kept that way. She made short work of clearing up after dinner, and after conceding the first bath of the night to Alice, left the drawing room. What is this drawing room? What's this supposed to look like? I mean, I assume that a drawing room isn't a room where you draw things, right? What is a drawing room? I don't understand. Since it was customary in these sorts of mansions to turn the lights off when leaving an empty room, the only lit areas of the house were the drawing room and the two girls' bedrooms. The upstairs were enveloped in darkness. Oh, those were footsteps, okay. Aoko briskly made her way to the deepest part of the east wing along the long corridor, illuminated only by the light of the moon, and arrived at her room.
結論として、やっぱり騙し討ちは気に食わない。
Just talking to herself so that no one could hear her. She had been considering this on the way down the corridor, perhaps ever since she left the drawing room. The moment she entered her room, she drew her proverbial line in the sand.
やるにしても隠れるのはなし。正面から堂々と向かい合って理由を言う。
Oh, really? You're just gonna say, did you see something last night? Or did you see some strange happenings last night? This was not a contestant driven by feelings of sympathy or compassion. For her, it was simply the way things ought to be.
よし。そうと決まれば。
After settling her resolve, she headed to the study next door.
木曜棚の当時欄、緑の背表紙とは。
Oh, what does she plan on doing now? Just researching? Without hesitation, she removed one book from the countless volumes on the shelf. The introductory textbooks transported here from the Awazaki residence were separated into 6 shelves, labeled Monday to Saturday. Wait, why would you label textbooks Monday to Saturday? Is it some sort of like reading schedule? Naoko had organized the books by topic, genre, and purpose, and had more or less memorized exactly what it was in her personal library. Oh. Oh, guess she wasn't the kind of sloppy girl. Referencing any of this material took her no time at all. It was to be expected from the keeper of this study. Though this keeper's fiefdom? What the hell is a fiefdom? Seriously, there are so many complicated vocabularies that I don't know of. Hang on. Let me get my phone. What do you call it? Fiefdom or fiefdom? Area over which someone exercises control or in manner of a feudal lord. Okay. Property owned by... Okay. It was property owned by lord. My god, it's so hot in here. It's making my butt sweaty. My underwear sweaty. Jesus. As you can see here, I'm not even wearing any shirt. I'm wearing nothing but my boxers. Both Aoko and Alice had given up all hope on the cluttered mess of a library in the annex. Nevertheless, on occasion, Aoko would have no option other than to give Alice a heads up and visit it when this study did not meet her needs.
できればそれは避けたいところだけど、と。
Aoko placed the thick green book down and took a seat. The desk she sat at was sturdy but uninviting. It wasn't the sort of furniture girls her age grew attached to, but she liked its minimalist elegance nonetheless. She flipped lightly through the book's old worn pages.
アリスみたいな結界は私にはまだ無理だ。人払いはその場所自体に頼らないといけないか。
What did she plan on doing? The mountains? The woods? The school building? Empty at night? She was looking for a place that would be, except for the worst of luck, void of people, allowing her to forego the use of magecraft.
茨の壁だの魔力の霧だの。そういう回りくどいのもなんだしな。退路を断つっていうなら、もっとこう見た目にも状況的にも派手な方が効果的だし。
Oh, is she looking for a practical place for a magecraft? Muttering about how there had to be some basic spells that fit her needs, she continued to flip through the pages. It goes without saying that she was looking for a way to deal with the witness from the previous night. Magecraft's uses were many, but not all-encompassing. Fundamentally, Magecraft was good for making things or phenomena that existed already, while more or less bypassing the time and resources conventional means would require. It was, however, unable to manifest phenomena that were impossible in this world. It was essentially an equivalent exchange that used a variety of shortcuts. Ah, just like alchemy, an equivalent exchange. A phenomenon made possible by human hands, actualized by an individual's power. That was generally what Magecraft was. To give a simple example, if Alco were so inclined, she could make an entire lake appear at the mansion. However, it had to be something that existed within this world. Nothing, even the smallest matter, could escape this unbreakable law. Even if Alco were to release a level of heat on par with the F-15 fighter jet's afterburner, that event would only be possible if the circuit named Aoko Aozaki acted as a temporary input variable into a magic formula. Huh. Sounds like science. The derived equivalence was simply a value that already occurred in reality. If the variable in the equation did not exist elsewhere in reality, the spell would not be valid. Not unless it's real magic. Imaginary element known as magical energy was like a lie that could only slip its fantasy through the network of order at the moment of ignition. Giving form to the non-existent illusions invading reality. Something the universe did not allow.
とは言っても、エーテルは基本何にでもできるんで、大元が嘘なんだっけ?
Combined imaginary factor ether, pretty much anything else since it's not real itself.
魔力だけで構成されたものは幻想扱いされて急速に消えていくとか。典型的な結界、茨の壁とかはもともと茨を生やしておいて魔力で一気に成長、強化してるものだし。
So in other words, Magecraft needs to, in order for you to perform Magecraft, you need a substance that exists in order to perform that. It's like altering an existing object. You see, it's definitely like alchemy. At least in a sort of way. Kinda sounds like it. Magecraft and alchemy? From Full Metal Alchemist? Walls of Thorns generally starts with the user planting the thorns first before using magical energy.
魔力っていうのは結局、使い勝手のいいガソリン兼、事象に火をつける火花ってわけで。
Magical energy is just an easy to use fuel source while acting as a firework that ignites a phenomenon. Oh yeah, just for convenient use. Like, use magical energy to grow a plant faster. Just like that, huh?
なんて言いつつ、架空要素云々より、基本的な回路の接続と魔力を加工して弾くことぐらいしかできないのよね、私。
At least for now. Laughing to herself, she looked for a bounded field or something similar more suited to her current ability. The identity of the witness was still unknown, but if they were a classmate of Alco's, she had any number of pretexts by which to lure them out. The problem was after that.
そうなると、問題は命中率よね。一撃で決めないと逃げられちゃうだろうし。
To be honest, she wasn't confident she could handle this smoothly without Alice's support. But Alco saw no reason to ask for help given that the target in question was a regular bystander. Fledgling as she was, she still had her pride as a mage. She continued to turn through the pages rhythmically. Oh, at least she's dedicated. In the midst of a fluttering sound of thumbing through the volume, Alco suddenly stopped her finger at a certain page.
見つけた。
Oh, she actually found it? She smiled to herself. It was a simple formula that she had tucked away somewhere in the recesses of her memory. A spell of simple destruction.
檻をね、作ればいいのよ。 狩りをする時の常套手段じゃない。獲物を逃げられないようにするのは。
Oh, the oldest trick in the book. What you gonna do? Give him a bait so so she could entrap him in a cage? She placed a bookmark in the book, closed it, and got up to return to her room. Suddenly, she felt someone watching her. Through the window, she saw her in the night, a girl staring back with a cold-hearted expression. The girl's face was hers, the expression undoubtedly her own. She began planning how to erase the witness. Though to say it was something as elaborate as a plan was overkill. This was just a job. She was going to make a cage, then lure her prey into it. There was no getting around it. Premeditated violence.
さ、そろそろアリスは上がったかな。
She mumbled out loud, as if the bath would return somewhat to her chilled heart. Wait, she's still taking a bath? About 20 minutes had passed since she gave Alice the privilege of using the hot water first. Alice tended to bathe quickly, finishing well under 10 minutes. Huh, she must be very observant from these 2 years. Her roommate was the type that could not understand the spirit of the bath, treating it as nothing more than necessity for looking after one's body. For Alice, the concept of staying at a hot spring sounded more like a chore than anything, though in this regard Aruko had to agree. Wait, so they both don't like the hot spring? Huh.
よし、浴場はカラッと。あれ、今に電気ついてる？
It was unusual for Alice to sit in the drawing room after her bath. On nights when she had nothing to discuss, it was her style to return directly to her bedroom.
アリス、いるの？
Must be some other unexpected guest. Probably some other stranger. Okay, never mind, it is Alice. Alice nodded. With no book in hand, it appeared that Alice had been waiting for Aoko.
そういうこと。私も信用ないな、ほんと。
Aoko scratched her head in exasperation. Was it that Alice was worried about her, or had no faith in her? Her expression was so calm Alice could hardly figure what she was thinking.
方針なら決まったけど、聞く？
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。
So she stayed up just to hear her out?
迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど、悪い癖ね、青子。
Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of her disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々、正面から理由を言った後にする。それならすっぱり後腐れもないし。文句ある？
文句はないわ。そういうの、好きか嫌いかはこの際関係ないでしょうし。
I mean, as long as they got the job done, job done.
けど、
確実性はどうかってことでしょ？私、いまいち命中率悪いし。その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。私はアリスのようにはいかないから、物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
Alice nodded and thought. I don't know, why just keep him in a part-time job place? I don't know, maybe. A finger that gently rested on her lips indicated the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
Those sounds like Alice style.
あんた、そういうところ常識ないわよね。
Yeah. She frowned at Alice's bad taste. It was kind of idea who roommate found to be inspired, but Haruko knew was out of the question. Haruko was looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare, not a realm bordering on true magic that she couldn't create to begin with.
なら他を当たるのね。でも、ここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
Oh, don't bring him into the mansion?
言われなくても分かってるって。けど、そうね。
Oh no, what's that smirk for?
ミラーハウスはいいアイディアかも。
Haruko smirked and shifted her balance away from the wall she was resting on.
サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。
Really?
ほんと、こういうのってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
Now in a good mood, Alco retreated from the drawing room. Don't mind the notice on there. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Alco had drawn up in her mind, but whatever it is, it appeared to be a thorough kind Alco was good at. Alco headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half sharing a living space had taught Alice something. When Alco Ozaki was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow.
青子一人に任せていいのかですって。
Oh, who is she talking to? A bird? Oh, what the fuck? What's this? A blue jay? It was unclear how long the bird had been in the drawing room. Chirping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced around the furniture as if it were its own property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
Kedo? Is this blue jay like their mentor? The girl in black raised her arm. The bird, chirping once again, alighted on her outstretched affectionate finger.
嫌な話だけど、信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
Yes. Two very different things. The bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement, and Naoko was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. The next day. Next day. Cloud gloomy as ever. No sunny day. The following day was a typically overcast one. The day's classes ended as they had started, uneventfully. Winter break was just around the corner, and with it, final exams. Although Misaki High prided itself in discipline, it was still a private school which promoted a culture of independence among its students. Industrious students had a place to explore that side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. Sorry, my voice has been trailing. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the student council president indicated just how vast the spectrum was. The same Tobimaru. Tobimaru Tsukichi threw open the door to the satellite student council room, the rumored location of their secret meetings. Despite all appearances, he was student council vice president, who also happened to be poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. She's still pissed at him. One person was waiting for him in a cramped room. The student council president Aoko Awazaki sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru and his boisterous entrance. Really? Who would bring a heater with a room this cramped? So as not to succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、何しに来たのか分かってる？
まあな。ただ、事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか。少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ。
Tobimaru closed the door and sat down across from Aoko. He was holding a blue envelope. Oh, this must have been the students.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ。
Remember that once you get out of the real world. Oh, he's not falling for that? Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aoko before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he was not ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job. Yeah, I guess it gives him too much of a headache.
それで、調べ終わったの？
ああ、ついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた。
Even Sojiro.
詳しいことはその封筒に入ってる。お前から渡された例のファイルもそんなか。
He tossed the envelope onto the table.
そう
Aoko picked it up and began to scan through the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing the slightest bit of attention for Tobimaru. If ignoring other people were a skill, she would be a master at it.
なあ、
何
Nani?
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ。
だから何
The room was filled with a chilling silence. Along with this music, Aoko continued reading without an ounce of emotion upon her face. Maybe the next thing he said... maybe the next word he says, Aoko would just pop up, huh? Is that how it goes? Though Tobimaru kept up an air of indifference, his stare remained fixed intently on her.
青崎、そういうの作って楽しい？
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところであんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
そうか。ならいい。
Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaru stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression. What were you expecting?
最後まで読めばわかるだろうが、あんまり確証は取れなかったぜ。というより、おとといあの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだ。まあ断定はできないけどな。
You don't mention anything about Sojiro? No longer concerned over his task, Tobimaru headed toward the door, as if to say it was out of his hands.
と、そうだ。
Oh, is he gonna bring up Sojiro?
そういえば、一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる。季節外れの転入生までは、青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか。
Oko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her investigation.
そんなわけで、その字に関しては調べてないぜ。まあ、あいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうが。いや、人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ、家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえか。
He actually brings it up, doesn't he? Tobimaru cheerfully left the student council room. She now realized now. Simultaneously, Oko felt her fingers go numb, and the document she was holding spilled all over the table.
そんな、まさかね。
She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that there must be some kind of mistake. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut would simply not go away, perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
And yet, she knew what she had to do. She would not have hesitated to kill Tobimaru if he had been the witness. Oh. Well, it's lucky that Tobimaru wasn't one of them. But what if it was who she was thinking of? No, it's definitely Sojiro. Just considering the possibility caused her blood to run cold. Oko put her forehead in her hands and began to brood. Then suddenly, let us talk choice. You will always be faced with choices. It'd always be tied with choices, huh? A virtuous fool and a wicked sage. You cannot save both. You must pick one. That is the freedom granted to you. 2 years earlier, Aoko muttered the words offered by her grandfather the day she replaced her elder sister as his successor and let out a sigh of lament.
すごくバカみたい。
She laughed at her own intuition. Guess she didn't need to look into the rest of the documents, huh? But it was no joke. If only those words had never been said. Aoko locked up the student council room and left for the day. Who's the guy in the blue jersey? Calmly, as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the halls. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. Wait, they? She was almost shocked. Okay, she. Not they. There were still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy with the chattering of students who had finished the day, but had yet to head home. Others still had club activities. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but nobody seemed to pay it any mind. Amidst the clamor, Aoko hastened to the school gate. She passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about their after-school plans. Apparently, they were adamant about maximizing their free time. She could not figure out how they could possibly be so irresponsibly focused on fun, but at the same time was in no mood to make fun of or feel envious of them. 2 short years prior, she had been just like them.
寝は覚めてるのかな、私って。
Yeah, considering her being a mage. She retied her scarf, this time more tightly, to give off an air of solitude, but she was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is rejection.
そうよね。孤独っていうのはああいうのを言うもんでしょうし。
Said something similar to what Alice said. Solitude, rejection, trust and faith. The area by the school gate was busier than usual. A group of boys appeared to be huddled behind it. Their transparent attempt to be discreet in terms of both location and loudness did nothing to hide the fact that they were noisily arguing about girls standing alone on the other side of the street. What? Why the hell is Alice here? The girl was cloaked in a black cape. At first glance, it could have been mistaken for normal attire, but those from Misaki could tell that she wore a uniform of a prestigious girls' school. Said school had no connection to Misaki High in any way, shape, or form. The two schools were miles apart by both physically and spiritually. What the hell is Alice doing here? Out of all the place. Member of that school's student body was a rare sighting, as the majority were forced to live in a school dorm. Rayan Girls Academy had a reputation as a school for princesses, and it was rare indeed for one to be slumming with the common folk. Oh, so she's from Rayan Girls Academy. Okay. That alone would have been enough to cause the ruckus among the boys. But this girl looked the epitome of class. One could not help but describe the standing figure as charming. The way she silently, motionlessly waited was reminiscent of a meticulously composed portrait. I don't know. The music is getting me into the mood of elegance and brutishosity. Sort of. Ogle took one look at her before instantly recalling that one word, solitude.
まったくうちの男子どもは家に帰りもせず陰でこそこそやってるのはそういうこと。
And she doesn't even seem surprised at all. Disgusted, Aoko barged through the gate. At this point, she would normally head home. Today, she crossed the street toward the waiting girl.
あれなるは生徒会長様？くそ、おっぱらう気なのかよ。痛いんならいつまでだっていさせてあげればいいじゃんか。
Wow, they're really simping for this Alice girl.
てか怒られる？怒られるのあの天使。
They really thought that she's an angel. She's wearing black all over. What color of angel do you think she is?
よその生徒でも校門前にいるぐらいなら別に問題はないと思うけど。青子女子は容赦ねえからな。下手すると平手だぜ。
The boys ran their mouths behind their back. Not in the mood to shut them up, Alco walked right up to the girl and offered an informal wave.
どうしたのアリス？こんなところに来たって何も面白いことはないって言ったのに。
Why is she waiting at the school? And she doesn't even seem surprised nor shocked. Huh. That much of a reaction, huh? Algo heard the boys that they lose their collective minds and did her best to ignore them.
あのことを確かめに。青子、あの人たち邪魔なんだけど。
Wow, you realize that now? Then probably waiting at the school gate wouldn't have been your first choice. Couldn't you pick something more discreet?
わかってる。今追っ払うから。
In contrast to Alice's small voice, Alco spoke loud and clear. Naturally, this was on purpose, but so as to deal with the riffraff by the gate all at once.
会長こっち来んぞ。おい押すなよ、後ろのやつどけって。俺校舎に逃げるから。い
Hmm.
やでもあの子会長と知り合いなんでしょ。うまく会長に紹介してもらうとか。
Seriously? My god, high school boys these days.
さすが一年坊主、まだ戦場の現実ってもんを理解していねえ。よし、死の間際までいい夢見ろよ。
Wow, they're really thinking like she's the Grim Reaper now. Perhaps because too many of them had gathered in one place, the mob entered a frenzied panic as they tried to escape. Alco addressed them all.
さーて、部活動があるわけでもなし、ただ家に帰るだけの帰宅部の皆さん、こんなところで何を集まってるのか教えてくれる？
Ooh, her anger face. The student council president stared daggers at the boys.
何しろ試験前だもの。
Oh yeah, there was something like that,
身
right?
になることなら私も教えてほしいけど、まさかガン首並べて女学院のお嬢様を眺めてただけなんてことはないわよね。声をかける勇気もなくて眺めてただけなんてことは。
My god, the tone of her voice that she felt like that I'm sick of this shit already. Just please be over with. Not one of them was brave enough to admit that this hit the nail on the head. If any of them had courage, they would have already been chatting the young lady up.
いや、僕教室にちょっと忘れ物で。こんなオチならダメ元で玉砕しとくんだった。
Calm down.
天文部に行って双眼鏡借りるのどうだ。屋上からお顔を賜るとか。天文部にそんなのねえよ。あるとしたら野鳥同好会じゃね。
The what? There's a wild bird society? What kind? How does Alco even allow that kind of club?
それ先月会長が潰したじゃん。
Oh, okay.
鳥めでてる暇があるなら彼女作れって。
Okay, she already kicked those group. Okay.
ああ、彼女作れですか。すみませんす。今日は裏口から帰るっす。
Zaki? As in Yamazaki?
さあ、じゃあな会長。また明日。
And with those oh so charming remarks, the boys scattered with their tails between their legs.
楽しそうね、青子。
Was that sarcasm?
わかる？
Alco's response slipped out all too. Ow. She actually enjoyed it? What the fuck? In truth, there were not that many bad apples at Misaki High, and dealing with them wasn't really that bad.
で、ここまで出向くってことは何か分かったの？
結界に残っていた気配の識別は、あとはここで確かめればいいだけよ。
そう。ん？アリス、いつからここに？
下校時刻から。
Since school was dismissed? So she had been here for roughly an hour. Standing in the same place for an hour would be taxing for someone as sensitive to the cold as Alice.
悪いわね、無理させて。
別に好きでやってることだから。
Really? She doesn't mind the cold? As she spoke, her black eyes were fixed upon the gate and the students passing through it. She had likely been observing the gate in this manner for the past hour.
私を待ってたわけじゃないんでしょ？今からでも付き合うわ。
Alice nodded in assent. If Alice was still here, it meant she had not found the witness yet. If she had found this student, Alice would have already gone home ahead of Aoko and begun to research the student's background.
私の方はダメだった。
Nothing came. She reported the results of Tobimaru's investigation. Alice remained silent. Oh. Probably she deliberately lied. With that, the conversation ended, leaving the two to silently endure the freezing wind. The silent stakeout dragged on endlessly. Students continued to pass the gate, each shocked at the sight of the unusual combo, and head home. After 20 minutes, Aoko let a sigh escape of her mouth, perhaps from boredom, perhaps from the cold, or perhaps from both.
ねえ、アリス。帰り黎明に寄ってかない？
Dawn? Is that like a restaurant name? Aoko quickly turned to Alice to catch her reaction. Dawn was the name of Aoko's favorite coffee shop. Oh, it's a coffee shop. Oh, did she notice something? Offering no clear indication as to whether she was critical of Olive's blasé attitude or agreeing to her whims, Alice's gaze shifted ever so slightly. Aoko followed her stare.
俺青崎も待ち合わせか
Ah, the man himself, Sojuro. The sudden voice took her off guard. There was only one person who spoke with this gentle, good-natured tone, and that is Shizuki Sojuro.
やっぱそうなるわけか。
Turning her back to Alice, Aoko moved her focus to the newly appeared student.
それで、今日は何の用？
All politeness flew out the window. Already in a bad mood, Aoko's mood plummeted the longer she looked at Sojuro. The subtlety of her expression, however, was lost on him.
いやこれから駅前で水泳部の部長と待ち合わせなんだけどそのことでお礼を言っておきたくて
Oh, right, he forgot to say thanks.
Hmm.
Well, that was completely unexpected. Thanks. Joining a club. Aoko had a hunch he was about to say something brainless.
ふーん。お礼ってお礼参りってこと？
Fortunately, Sojuro was completely unaware of the more sinister implications to the word payback.
よくわからないけどそんな大したことじゃないよ
Hey, at least this guy's honest.
ただ水泳部は夏までそう忙しくないって話だったから
Until summer. Sojuro was about to thank her for recommending a club that would not take much of his time, when Aoko cut him off with an instant with an expression of disinterest.
当然でしょ。幽霊部員になりそうな生徒なんて紹介できないから。忙しいあなたでも務まりそうな場所があったから口に出しただけよ。
なるほど無駄がないね
Wow. His open admiration for her sapped Aoko's will to fight. Finding a suitable club and negotiating with its captain had been a future use of her time at all.
とにかくお世話になったからそれで礼を言っときたくて
Huh. Sojuro gratefully dipped his head, but not before the flustered Aoko stopped him.
よしてよ。今あなたにそんなことされても迷惑だから。
My god, she's still being sun about it around him.
それで水泳部はどう？やっていけそう？
An awkwardness infiltrated her previously sharp gaze. Sojuro was able to pick up on the odd change in her behavior, but could not define its reason. So he simply started with what he knew so far and reported the most recent information he had.
ああ水泳部はクビになった
What? Already?
なんでよ！
Why kicked out? That was unexpected. Aoko instinctively shouted out the unexpected response, like a human jack in a box. Damn, he got kicked out of the club already. He's like saying it like this. No problem at all. This unexpected development threw her mind in a tizzy, and she momentarily forgot the complicated feelings she had been wrestling with.
だって今から待ち合わせだって。
それはこれからヤシロギの温水プールに連れて行ってくれるからだよ
Heated pool in Yashirogi? Sojuro stated this matter-of-factly to the still-reading Aoko.
話がつながらない。そこまでうまくいってるのに、どうして入部を拒否されるのよあんたは。
そりゃ俺が泳げないからだろ
Because he can't swim? Didn't he say that he's fine with it? Aoko reached up with her fingers and pinched the bridge of her nose as she processed his answer.
しずきくん、昨日の私の質問は覚えてる？走るのか泳ぐのか、どっちがいいかってやつ。
Oh, was that intentional? Did he prefer swimming because he can't?
私の記憶は正しいけど、一応確認しておくわね。あなた、確かに泳ぐ方だって言ったけど。
Oh, she's blushing?
ああ昔から泳げないのはなんとか克服したかったんだ反対に走る方は得意だけど
What's with this serious face all of a sudden, Sonoji? Her energy spent, Aoko finally understood.
俺が1年なら一から鍛えてくれたらしいんだけど
Apparently, they would have taken me in and trained me from square one if I were in my first year.
あと3ヶ月で3年になる身分なのに金槌の部員は雇えないそうだ
Only 3 months left.
けど部長が親身になってくれてこれから泳ぎを教えてくれることになったんだよ
Oh, at least the captain was nice. Sojiro's words were spoken from a place of joy, a fact that failed to reach Aoko.
はあ、つまり欠陥品を売りつけたってわけか。こりゃ水泳部の部長に合わす顔がないっと。
Really?
ちょっと待った。
Isn't the captain a...
しずきくん、
what?
水泳部の部長って。
She stopped herself short of a girl. She was afraid how that might look, that she might not be able to rein herself if she started.
もういいわ。気持ちは分かったから、どこか遠くにいてくれない？少し疲れてて、とてもじゃないけどあなたの相手はしていられないの。
Right now, at least.
飛び丸もそんなことを言ってたな。青崎は昨日と今日珍しく疲れてるって。何かあったのか？
No. He's going to ask that, huh?
でもいいの。解決したみたいだから。それより、しずきくんはどう見える？私、そんなに疲れて見えるのかな？
Well, considering how observant he was to her, why had she asked him this? Blurting out things for no reason and on impulse. It was not usual for Aoko. Perhaps it was because she realized that this would be their last chance to have a normal conversation. After a few moments of contemplation, Sojiro conjured up a grin that cut straight through the tension.
そうだな。疲れているというより生き生きしているように見える。仕方なく畑を耕していた狼が久しぶりに狩りに出ることになって機嫌を上げている感じだ。
Wow, that is an apt and accurate description. Damn. Is this Sojiro guy really that accurate on people's into? He seemed so cheerful, like he was so happy for her. Without thinking, Aoko's hands went to her cheeks. If what he said were true, then she was grinning from ear to ear. There was just no way she would have made such a mistake.
とにかくありがとう。じゃあ、また明日。
Perhaps still not comfortable enough to wave to her, he said his goodbye with sincerity in his voice and smile, and took his leave.
待って。こんな話があるの。聞いてから言って。
Aoko called after him. Her voice was cold as she admonished herself for having been somewhat affable earlier.
意味のない例え話よ。そうね。あなたが空腹で死にそうな時、目の前に同じように空腹で死にそうな2匹の動物がいるとするわ。
is she gonna mind play on her question?
しずきくんに銃をあげる。それでどちらかの動物を撃って。右はライオンで、左は子猫。選ぶのはあなたの自由だから。
It was a fable-like moral dilemma, especially the way in which it was cruel and rather preachy. The kind if you thought too hard about, you would never find an answer. Sojiro answered quickly and calmly. Really that fast?
いや、撃たないと思うよ。だって自分の好きにしていいんだろ。それにほら、空腹ならお互い様だ。
Damn. He was not in the least fazed by the dilemma. He really is that kind of guy, huh? Just like Hokuto. I don't know about Shiro Emiya, though. Whatever. He gave the most innocent response, so innocent in fact that would give anyone pause.
長生きするわ、あなた。
すごいセリフだな。そんなことを言われたのは多分君が初めてだ。
Hajimete? The first time? Adorning his face was a smile wholly out of sync with his comment.
何よそれ。
She regretted stopping him. If only she had just watched him go, this conversation would have never happened. Sojiro Shizuki made his way down the sloped street. Today, just like every day, he probably had to work late again. Only Aoko and Alice remained, with Alice doing what she could do to simply blend in.
つくづくこっちのペースを乱してくれるわね。
Yes,
新築無害の田舎者は。
blending in as the third wheeler. Alice didn't even introduce herself to Sojiro. Aoko clenched her right fist tightly as she cursed out loud. Anything to prevent herself from screaming at the top of her lungs. Whether that scream would be directed towards Sojiro or toward herself was another matter entirely. Aoko heard Alice's soft voice behind her. Aoko knew what she was going to say, and she had known for the entire time. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna get him? Ever since Alice, having shown no reaction to any of the other students, changed her expression upon seeing Sojiro. Yeah, guess she knew already, huh?
言わなくてもいい。あいつでしょ、目撃者は。
Her voice was cold as ice. It was the voice of someone talking about a complete stranger. The lion and the kitten. There were pros and cons to choosing either of these animals. Point being that she had asked him to choose one of them. In terms of the risk, the lion was the more dangerous choice. The instant the gun was pointed at, there was the chance they would fight back. Those who chose the lion required more courage, but any sense of guilt that came with holding a gun would be forgotten. Lions were fierce creatures, a poor excuse to shoot an animal, perhaps, but one that simply helped elevate the guilt. What about the kitten, the weaker creature? It goes without saying that the kitten would be the easier target of the two, but choosing it would be a disquieting decision for anyone. Even if the kitten had no chance to survive, it was still too senseless to carry out. And to Aoko, Sojiro was that choice.
てっきり、私もそうだと思ってた。
When she had felt that sinking feeling in the student council room, she ignored it. There was no getting around what must be done, she told herself. Until that is, Sojiro went and said what he did, causing her resolve to waver. But the discomfort in her chest did not stem from any guilt she may have felt. She could care less for Sojiro. He was weak, and would be incredibly easy to deal with. At least, that's what she sees in him. Yet for some reason, she could not dispel her reservations. A transfer student who moved to the city from the middle of nowhere, no family to speak of. Few would notice if he were to suddenly disappear compared to a person of some renown. If she were to kill him, it would be as simple as wringing a cat's neck. And it all served to just piss her off. It was too lucky. Like everything was neatly handed to her. She wanted to just dropkick it right into orbit.
信じられない。私嫌がってる。これは違う。
The self-moraling conflict.
こんなの私じゃない。
Standing behind her, Alice heard all of that muttering. Nevertheless, she seemed to ignore it and said,
彼、首に布を巻いていたわね。
Oh, she noticed that too, huh? A wholly unrelated topic. Aoko returned to her senses.
首？
You didn't notice?
水泳部の首とかけていたのかしら。
I wonder if that had something to do. Oh yeah, must be. After all, considering he's wearing bandages all over his body. And Aoko didn't notice that? I noticed that in the first hand. Alice had put much thought into this, as if it had a deeper meaning to her somehow.
そういえば、あいつ初めて会った時も首に布巻いてたっけ？襟を行儀よく締めてるから目立たないけど。
Really? I still see his bandage on his neck. The conversation turned to idle nonsense. And though it solved none of her current problems, it did help calm Aoko's frazzled nerves.
サンキュー。落ち着いたわ、アリス。それと、気合も入った。善は急げ。あいつが言いふらす前に決着をつけよう。
Well, at least he told one guy. But I guess it's inevitable. Pumped once more, Aoko turned her back to the school gate. For now, they would retire to the mansion and prepare for battle. Ah, the moving trees.
いいけど、いつ、どこで彼を殺すの？
She said quietly so as not to be overheard by anyone else. Normally, Aoko had to rein in that side of Alice, out in the open as they were, but this was far from a normal situation.
今日の夜、場所はとっておきの夢の国よ。
She gave a fearless laugh. Strangely pleasant sound, like the kind one would make when meeting their lover. Coincidental analogy. Well, that's that. Well, that was chapter 3. And now, next, Night of the Witches. So, guess in the amusement park, that's their game plan, huh? But I'm gonna have to stop it there. Thanks for watching. Wow, I didn't expect it to end it so soon, but it's been kind of an hour. But yeah, things are starting to get interesting now. At first, I didn't expect that last night's incident we'd see Alko's POV. I thought it'd be Sojiro's POV, but nonetheless, apparently Sojiro saw the woman in green for some reason. So maybe she was the puppeteer that Aoko killed? But whatever the case, hey, who knows? Maybe it might end up some unexpected outcomes that might come together. But yeah, I'm kind of interested what happens on the next chapter, but yeah, I'm just gonna end it here. To anyone that is still watching here, thanks for watching. This has been Nex-oz, and hopefully I can continue on with this Mahoyo story. And I hope all of you have a good day, and so am I. So thank you. And looking forward to the next chapter. And hoping that this playtime, it would record all of the playtime, hopefully. Since I recently added my RAM sticks, so I hope that helps, at least. But yeah, thank you.